Rafael Nadal just made a gift so unexpected it brought Alex Eala to her knees in tears. A second home. Words that would change everything for the young Filipino star. Nobody saw this coming. Not the fans, not the media, and certainly not Alex herself. What started as a quiet gesture from one of tennis's greatest legends turned into a moment so powerful it shook the entire tennis world. But this wasn't just about generosity. This was about legacy, mentorship, and a bond that goes deeper than any trophy. When Alex Eala first arrived at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca back in 2018, she was just 14 years old. A girl from the Philippines with big dreams and even bigger determination. She didn't know anyone, she didn't speak fluent Spanish, and she certainly didn't expect to become part of Rafael Nadal's extended family. But tennis has a way of bringing unlikely souls together. Eala had always admired Nadal from afar. Who hasn't? The warrior spirit, the never-give-up mentality, the way he fought for every single point like his life depended on it. For a young player trying to break through in a sport dominated by European and American talent, Nadal represented something powerful, proof that hunger and heart could overcome anything. What she didn't realize was that Nadal had been watching her, too. From the very beginning, the coaches at his academy noticed something different about Alex. It wasn't just her forehand or her footwork, it was her spirit. The way she trained when nobody was watching, the way she pushed through injuries and setbacks without complaint, the way she carried the weight of an entire nation's hopes on her shoulders. The Philippines, a country with almost no tennis infrastructure, counting on her to break through. Nadal saw himself in that struggle. He understood what it meant to represent something bigger than yourself, to carry a flag that felt heavier than any racket. Spain wasn't always a tennis powerhouse either. Before Nadal, before the golden generation, Spanish tennis was an afterthought. He had built something from nothing. And now, watching this young Filipino fight her way up, he saw a reflection of his own journey. Over the years, their connection deepened. Nadal would occasionally stop by her practice sessions, offering quiet words of encouragement, sometimes just a nod, a smile, a reminder that someone believed in her. For Alex, those moments were everything. This wasn't just any coach or mentor. This was Rafa, the man who had won 22 Grand Slams, the man who had inspired an entire generation. But their bond went beyond tennis. Nadal recognized the loneliness that comes with chasing greatness far from home. Alex had left her family in the Philippines to train in Spain. She celebrated birthdays without her parents. She faced defeats without her childhood friends to comfort her. The academy became her home, yes, but it was also a constant reminder of everything she had sacrificed. And Nadal? He understood sacrifice better than anyone, so he made it his mission to ensure that Alex never felt completely alone. He invited her to family dinners during holidays, he checked in after tough losses, he celebrated her victories like they were his own. Slowly, quietly, he became more than a mentor. He became family. What Alex didn't know was that Nadal had been planning something extraordinary, something that would change her life forever. But nobody, not even those closest to Rafa, could have predicted what came next. To understand the magnitude of what happened, you have to understand what the Rafa Nadal Academy truly represents. This isn't just a training facility. It's not just another tennis club with nice courts and expensive equipment. The Academy, opened in 2016 in Manacorn, Mallorca, was built on a philosophy that champions are made through values, not just victories. Discipline, humility, respect, hard work. These weren't just words plastered on motivational posters. They were the foundation of everything. Nadal poured his heart and soul into creating an environment where young players could develop not just as athletes, but as people. He wanted to build a place that felt like home, even for kids thousands of miles away from their actual homes. And Alex Eala? She became one of the Academy's greatest success stories. In 2022, she made history by becoming the first Filipina to win a Grand Slam singles title at the U.S. Open Junior Championships. The victory sent shockwaves through the Philippines. Streets erupted in celebration. Social media exploded. The president congratulated her personally. For a country starved of tennis success, Alex was a beacon of hope. But behind the trophy and the headlines was a grueling journey that most people never saw. Alex had spent nearly 5 years at the academy by that point. 5 years of waking up before dawn. 5 years of brutal training sessions in the Mediterranean heat. 5 years of watching other girls go home to their families while she stayed behind, alone in a foreign country, chasing a dream that sometimes felt impossibly far away. The academy had given her everything she needed to succeed: world-class coaching, state-of-the-art facilities, sparring partners who pushed her to her limits. But more than that, it had given her a sense of belonging. The coaches became her mentors. The staff became her support system. The other players became her siblings. And Nadal? He became her guardian angel. There were moments when Alex wanted to quit, moments when the pressure felt unbearable, moments when she wondered if all the sacrifice was worth it. During those dark times, it was often Nadal who pulled her back from the edge, sometimes with advice, sometimes with just his presence. He knew what it felt like to doubt yourself, to wonder if you were good enough, to carry the weight of expectations that could crush even the strongest spirit. The academy had become Alex's second home in every sense. Her room, decorated with Philippine flags and family photos, was her sanctuary. The courts where she trained were her battlefield. The dining hall where she shared meals with other players was where she found friendship and laughter. But even with all of that, there was always a part of her that felt untethered, a part that longed for permanence, for roots, for something that couldn't be taken away. She had no idea that Nadal had been thinking about that exact feeling for months. Behind the scenes, away from cameras and media attention, Nadal had been working on something unprecedented, something that went beyond coaching, mentorship. He had watched Alex grow from a hopeful teenager into a fierce competitor. He had seen her represent the academy with grace and determination. He had witnessed her carry the Philippine flag with pride at every tournament. And he decided it was time to make a gesture that matched the depth of his belief in her. What Nadal was about to do would leave everyone speechless, including Alex herself. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon in November 2024. Nothing about the day seemed particularly special. Alex had just finished a grueling practice session, her muscles aching, her shirt soaked with sweat. She was looking forward to a shower, some food, and maybe a video call with her family back in the Philippines. Then she got the message. Rafa wants to see you in the main office, now. Her heart started racing. Had she done something wrong? Was there a problem with her training schedule? Did he need to discuss her tournament plans? Alex quickly changed and made her way to the administrative building, her mind spinning with possibilities. When she walked into the conference room, she found Nadal waiting for her. But he wasn't alone. The academy director was there, so were several other staff members, and in the corner, a camera crew. Alex's confusion must have been written all over her face because Nadal smiled, that warm, genuine smile that had comforted her so many times before. "Sit down, Alex," he said gently. She sat, her hands trembling slightly. Whatever this was, it felt important. Nadal began to speak, his voice steady but emotional. He talked about the first time he met her, about watching her grow not just as a player, but as a person, about how proud he was of everything she had accomplished, about how she embodied everything the academy stood for. Alex listened, tears already forming in her eyes, though she didn't yet understand why. Then Nadal said the words that would change everything. "This academy has been your second home for many years now, but I want to make that official. I want you to know that you will always have a place here. Not as a student, not as a guest, but as family." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "I'm gifting you permanent residency rights at the academy, a private apartment that will always be yours, a lifetime membership to all our facilities, and a formal role as a youth ambassador, so you can help inspire the next generation of players the way you've inspired all of us." The room went silent. Alex's hands flew to her mouth. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. She stared at Nadal, trying to process what she had just heard. A second home. Not metaphorically, actually, literally a second home. The tears came then, unstoppable and raw. She tried to speak, but the words caught in her throat. All she could do was stand up and embrace Nadal, sobbing into his shoulder while everyone in the room wiped away their own tears. "Thank you," she finally whispered, her voice breaking. "Thank you for everything, for believing in me when nobody else did, for making me feel like I belonged, for giving me a family." Nadal held her tightly, his own eyes glistening. "You earned this, Alex. Every single bit of it. This is your home. It always has been." The moment lasted several minutes. Nobody rushed her, nobody told her to compose herself. They let her feel everything she needed to feel. The relief, the gratitude, the overwhelming sense of being seen and valued. When she finally pulled away, her face streaked with tears, she looked around the room and saw nothing but love and support. These people had watched her struggle and triumphs. They had been there for the victories and the defeats. They were her family. And now, thanks to Nadal, that family had just become permanent. But the world was about to have a very strong reaction to this news. Within hours of the private ceremony, word began to leak out. It started with a cryptic Instagram post from the Academy's official account, a photo of Nadal and Alex embracing, with the caption, "Family forever." No explanation, no context, just those two words. The tennis world went into overdrive. Fans immediately started speculating. What did this mean? Were they announcing a new coaching partnership? Was Alex joining Nadal's team permanently? Had something happened behind the scenes? Then Alex posted her own message, and everything became clear. "I don't even have the words right now," she wrote alongside a photo of herself wiping away tears. "Today, Rafa gave me the most incredible gift, a permanent home at the Academy. Not as a student, but as family. I'm completely overwhelmed. This place saved my life. These people believed in me when I had nothing. And now I get to give back and help the next generation. I love you all so much." The post went viral within minutes. The Philippine media picked it up first. Headlines screamed across every major news outlet. "Alex Eala receives life-changing gift from Rafael Nadal. Nadal makes Filipino star permanent family member. Eala's second home, a story of mentorship and love." Philippine fans flooded social media with messages of joy and pride. The hashtag Pinoy Pride trended worldwide. Government officials praised Nadal for his generosity. Tennis commentators called it one of the most beautiful moments in the sport's history. But not everyone was celebrating. Some critics questioned the optics. Why Alex? What about other talented players at the Academy? Was this favoritism? Did she deserve such special treatment? Don't get me wrong, Alex is talented, one tennis blogger wrote, but there are dozens of kids at that academy working just as hard. Why does she get a permanent apartment and they don't? This feels like Nadal playing favorites. Others raised concerns about dependency. Would this gift help Alex's career or hurt it? Would she become too comfortable? Would she lose her hunger? "The best athletes are driven by hunger and adversity," a former coach tweeted. "Giving someone this much security so young might backfire. She needs to stay hungry." Even some Filipino fans had mixed reactions. While most were overjoyed, a vocal minority worried about what this meant for Alex's connection to the Philippines. She's already spent most of her life in Spain. Now she has a permanent home there? Is she even Filipino anymore? Or has she become Spanish? The criticism stung. Alex saw the negative comments. She read the think pieces, questioning whether she deserved this. She felt the weight of people doubting Nadal's intentions and her own worthiness. But she also saw something else, an outpouring of love and support that dwarfed the negativity. Thousands of messages from young Filipino athletes thanking her for inspiring them. Heartfelt posts from fellow tennis players congratulating her. Video tributes from fans around the world celebrating the bond between her and Nadal. And through it all, Nadal remained unfazed by the criticism. When asked by a Spanish journalist about the backlash, he responded simply, "I don't make decisions based on what people think. I make them based on what feels right in my heart. Alex has earned this. Anyone who knows her story understands why." His words silenced many of the critics, but they also raised a deeper question. What did this gift really represent? Because this wasn't just about an apartment or academy membership. This was about something much bigger. Strip away the headlines and the social media noise, and you're left with a profound truth. Rafael Nadal just rewrote the rules of athlete mentorship. For decades, the relationship between established stars and rising players has followed a predictable pattern. Veterans offer advice, they share their experiences. Maybe they invite young players to practice. Maybe they offer a few encouraging words after a tough loss. But actual, tangible, life-changing support? That's rare, almost unheard of. What Nadal did for Alex Eala goes beyond mentorship. It's a commitment, a promise, a recognition that true legacy isn't just about the trophies you win, it's about the lives you change. Think about what this gift actually means for Alex. She's a 20-year-old athlete from a country with minimal tennis infrastructure. The Philippines doesn't have the training facilities that America or Europe has. It doesn't have the financial backing. It doesn't have the pathway from junior success to professional stardom that other countries offer. Alex's journey has always been precarious. One major injury, one financial setback, one loss of sponsorship could have derailed everything. She's been one bad break away from having to give up on her dream. Until now. Nadal's gift eliminates that uncertainty. She has a base, a foundation, a place where she can train, recover, prepare, and grow, regardless of what happens in her career. If she gets injured and loses sponsorships, she still has a home. If she struggles on tour and runs out of money, she still has a place to rebuild. But more than the physical security, Nadal gave her something even more valuable: validation. For years, Alex has carried the pressure of being the Philippine hope, the pioneer, the one who has to succeed, because if she doesn't, who will? That burden is crushing. It makes every loss feel like a national failure. It turns every tournament into a referendum on her worthiness. Nadal's gift says, you are enough. You have already succeeded. You have already proven yourself. This isn't charity. This is recognition. And that message resonates far beyond Alex herself. Young athletes around the world, especially those from underrepresented countries, watched this story unfold and saw something revolutionary. Proof that the tennis world can make space for them, that success doesn't have to follow the traditional Western European or American pathway, that someone will see their struggle and choose to help. This is Nadal's vision for his academy made manifest. He didn't just want to create champions, he wanted to create a more inclusive, supportive tennis ecosystem, a place where talent from anywhere could flourish, where a girl from the Philippines could stand alongside players from Spain, France, America, and everywhere else as equals. The gift to Alex is a statement. This is what I believe in. This is the future I want to build. But it's also a challenge to the rest of the tennis world. How many other superstars are willing to make this kind of commitment? How many are willing to invest not just their time or their name, but actual, substantial resources into the next generation? Nadal set a new standard, and whether people agree with his decision or not, they can't ignore it. The conversation has shifted. Athletes are now asking themselves, what's my responsibility to those coming up behind me? What's my legacy beyond my ranking and my prize money? But for Alex, the most important question was, what do I do now? In the days following the announcement, Alex struggled to find the right words. How do you express gratitude for something so overwhelming? How do you articulate what it means to have someone believe in you this completely? She tried several times to draft a longer statement, but each attempt felt inadequate. Finally, she decided to keep it simple and honest. I've been crying on and off for 3 days, she posted on Instagram. Not because I'm sad, but because I'm so grateful I don't know what to do with all these feelings. Rafa didn't just give me an apartment or a membership, he gave me peace. He gave me a foundation. He gave me the freedom to chase my dreams without fear. I promise I will honor this gift by working harder than ever and by helping other young players the way I've been helped. This is just the beginning. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of comments flooded in, most from young athletes sharing their own struggles and thanking Alex for representing them. One message in particular stuck with her. It was from a 12-year-old girl in Manila. I want to be like you someday. You make me believe I can make it too, even though we don't have nice courts here. Thank you for not giving up. Alex read that message over and over. It reminded her why this all mattered. This wasn't just about her anymore. It never really was. Within weeks of receiving Nadal's gift, Alex announced her new role as youth ambassador for the Academy. She would be hosting training camps for underprivileged players from Southeast Asia. She would be mentoring young Filipino athletes who couldn't afford to train in Europe. She would be using her platform to advocate for better tennis infrastructure in developing countries. Rafa showed me what it means to give back, she explained in an interview. Not just with words, but with action. I want to do the same. I want to be for someone else what he's been for me. Her tournament results also saw a shift. Free from the constant anxiety about where she would train during the off-season, free from the financial stress that had plagued her early career, Alex played with a new confidence. She competed with the joy of someone who knew she had a home to return to, no matter what happened on the court. But perhaps the most touching moment came months later, during a tournament in the Philippines. Alex brought Nadal as her special guest, and together they hosted a youth clinic for hundreds of Filipino kids who had never touched a tennis racket before. Watching Nadal teach those children who reminded him of Alex when she first arrived at his academy, was a full-circle moment. This was his legacy. Not the Grand Slam titles, but this. The spreading of opportunity, the breaking down of barriers, the belief that talent can come from anywhere. At the end of the clinic, a young boy approached Nadal shyly and asked in broken English, "Will you help me like you helped Alex?" Nadal knelt down to the boy's level, smiled, and said, "If you work hard and never give up, I promise you, someone will help you. Maybe me, maybe someone else, but the world needs more champions like Alex, and maybe you'll be one of them." Alex watched this exchange with tears in her eyes. She understood now. Nadal hadn't just given her a home. He'd given her a mission, a purpose beyond tennis, a responsibility to pay forward what had been given to her. This story isn't just about a generous gift or a heartwarming moment. It's about what happens when someone with power chooses to use it to lift others up. It's about legacy. It's about family. It's about the kind of impact that echoes far beyond trophies and rankings. Rafael Nadal could have stopped at being a great player. He could have retired, counted his millions, and enjoyed his legend. But he chose something harder, to build something that would outlast him. And Alex Eala? She's proof that his vision works, that investing in young athletes, truly investing, not just offering kind words, can change the trajectory of their lives. The question now is, who else will follow Nadal's lead? Who else will step up?